did 1 year ago with a failed rear ride-height device, wasn't he? And there's more technical gremlins and more woes as smoke pours out of Maverick Viñales' factory at Aprilia. And that's his hopes of any points in this Grand Prix ruined, wrecked by another tech issue then for that Aprilia RSGP. As we mentioned last year, it was a rear ride-height device, and Viñales has a good long look over his right shoulder and sees that puff of smoke coming out of the side of the Aprilia. I'm sure Simon's going to have a quick close look at that one down in pit lane as Viñales just cruises rather disconsolate. Fourth lap, we are underway. Luca Marini got a good launch on that, moving the opposite Ducati, but it's Jack Miller again who just rockets away on that factory KTM. He's got the inside line, he hugs that tight line as well. Miller will lead as they drop down the hill going through the Amiga section. Bagnaia squeezes Marini out wide, he takes second place.
Martin away well, he's up into fourth place from the inside line into the first corner. We've got on the inside of Brad Binder and Luca Marini. John Zarco's down to seventh place, so he's not got away well either.
Bezzecchi into P6. Brad Binder inside that top five. Further down, now Bastianini slipped down to 12th place. This is on the grandstand. What a shot that is as the fans are on their feet. Hands in the air, they are looking at the field, sweeping through the high-speed turn, on that fourth gear, one of 61 km/h. That's where Marc Marquez had his big crash this morning in the warm-up, which has brought him out of this German Grand Prix. Miller's getting on with this early on, isn't he, already through the second split, nearly 3 tenths clear of Bagnaia.
John Zarco is trying to get on with it further back. He's trying to deal with Marco Bezzecchi. He's got Aleix Espargaro behind him, who is on that soft rear tyre.
Just like we saw in the sprint yesterday, though, Miller just can't get that KTM hooked up, coming through turns 10 and 11. He led going into turn 11 on this opening lap, but he's been pushed all the way back down to fourth place as the Ducati barrage came on through. Bagnaia, Marini and Martin just eased past the Australian. That was a real tough third sector there for Miller. His problems seem to return from the sprint.
So the KTM's are fourth and fifth over the line. Then it's Aleix Espargaro who's right behind them on that soft rear tyre, making it work in these early stages. Look at Binder trying to go around the outside of Jack Miller, but it's back as we were in the sprint yesterday with Bagnaia and Martin at the front, although of course it's the reigning world champion who leads us this time.
So Bagnaia just where he wanted to be. Is this going to be the picture for the remainder of 2023? Potentially building up here as a championship toss-up between Bagnaia and Martin at the front of this Grand Prix. Alex Marquez trying to squeeze on the inside of Marco Bezzecchi there through that tight turns 5 and 6. They drop downhill then through the fourth gear turn number 7. Bagnaia with clear track ahead of him. Quarter of a second clear for the first half of this second lap ahead of sprint winner Martin.
Early moments, important early moments you feel for Brad Binder here. You feel he's the quicker of the two KTMs. He's certainly all over the back of Jack Miller. He doesn't want to let this leading trio of Ducatis get away and of course come under any pressure from behind. But riding on board with Marini, look how close he's punching up as Aleix Espargaro now gets involved with the KTMs.
Aleix Espargaro, some good spot by Simon pre-race. He did go late on for that soft rear tyre. So did Fabian Quartararo, two-time contender from last year, trying to make that extra soft grip work at the start of this Grand Prix, which they need to do. Of course, they'll have to be wary of the durability and the endurance of those soft rear tyres. But Aleix Espargaro making it pay right now. He's up to fifth.
Here comes Brad Binder then coming back through on Aleix Espargaro. It's really bunching up behind him, isn't it? As Aleix Espargaro tries to come back through. Bezzecchi's getting involved in a battle there. He just lost the place to Zarco. I think Alex Marquez is also throwing Marco Bezzecchi down to 9th place.
Just a block pass there, wasn't it, from Binder? Nothing that Aleix Espargaro could do. Parts of that first corner was Brad Binder's. KTM saw Aleix Espargaro just have to check up there, didn't he, on the factory Aprilia. Back at the front then, Pecco Bagnaia. 6 podiums in 7 sprints, trying to continue his golden run as well in this German Grand Prix. Looks like Bagnaia and Martin is starting to push away ultimately into Jack Miller on this opening lap then. He's just flicked it hard right, fifth gear, down the hill. Look, he lost the rear, didn't he? That's the reason why then Jack Miller, just that wheel spin as he was desperately trying to make sure that the Ducatis behind him weren't able to attack him on the brakes into turn number 12. Well, that's exactly what happened. Here comes Martin then. He's going to hit the front for the first time. Just as he made the move here on Bagnaia and Miller in the sprint yesterday. Turn 12 is his favourite overtaking on spot. And now Martin picks up the baton. He leads here at the Sachsenring, about to complete lap 3.
Danger signs then for Bagnaia, because once Martin got past him yesterday, Bagnaia didn't really see him again in the remainder of the sprint. Martin sets the fastest lap in the Grand Prix. Half second quicker than Bagnaia, of course. He went from a quarter of a second behind to a quarter of a second ahead. Bagnaia needs to keep him in view and also make sure he doesn't allow Luca Marini to come through as well.
Shades of 2022 here. It was Fabio Quartararo that made the early running, and Pecco Bagnaia dumped it, didn't he, behind him in that first corner, crashed this, left him 91 point behind in the World Championship. That's Zarco on the inside of Aleix Spargaro in the Omega corner. So the Prima Prama Ducati man, seeing his teammate Jorge Martin hit the front for the first time, he's eager to try and work his way now back into podium contention. Zarco up inside the top 6.
Well, we know Zarco tends to get stronger as the race goes on, so he'll feel in a good position there in 6th place. But Luca Marini looks like he's ready to make a move on the reigning world champion. Pecco Bagnaia already halfway around this lap and has fallen half a second adrift of Jorge Martin. It's turning into a similar story from the sprint. Bagnaia at the moment does not have the pace to go with Jorge Martin.
History is repeating itself. Martin hit the front of the sprint on lap 4 yesterday. He's done the exact same thing here in the main Grand Prix. Binder on the inside of Jack Miller, sliding that KTM down ahead of that third gear, turn number 12. Now Miller trying to respond and just compromise his exit there a little bit, didn't he, Brad? They all bunch up behind the South African. What this is doing, of course, is giving the top 3 the chance to stretch away at the front. Martin again, just as he did in the sprint yesterday. Once he's hit the front, he gets the hammer down, gets his head down, and starts reeling off 2 or 3 fastest lap. A 1:21.342, quickest mile on circuit, over 4 tenths ahead of Bagnaia in second.
Alex Marquez and Marco Bezzecchi once again going side by side there into turn 1. Behind them is Quartararo on the Yamaha in 10th. He's ahead of Enea Bastianini, who's not made progress. In fact, he's lost the place to the 2021 world champion off the line. Then it's Oliveira who's gone through on Maverick Vinales, who's still not making any progress this weekend. I feel like every time I look at the screens, Maverick Vinales is down in 13th.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Top Gun firing blanks in Mugello last weekend in Aprilia's home Grand Prix. It's been a tough Sachsenring weekend as well for Vinales. He crashed out of the sprint, his first sprint DNF yesterday, but he was nowhere near the point scoring places. Now then Bagnaia just starting to stretch his legs and move away from Marini. He drops down through the 5th gear, turn number 11. His problem though, trying to work out what to do and how to deal with Jorge Martin ahead of him. He did find really a couple of tenths in that 3rd sector. Yesterday, Martin reigned supreme in sector 2. Last night, Bagnaia's homework was going to be pouring over Martin's data as Bezzecchi raids on the inside of Alex Marquez in turn 13. Bagnaia had a good look yesterday, didn't it, Martin, through the sector 2. He's able to turn so much better. What did Bagnaia learn from studying those laptops last night inside that factory captain's garage? Martin then leads over the line by 6.5 tenths.
Right, who made the move on that lap was Binder, who did his personal best lap of the race, a 1:21.3. He was quicker than the trio ahead of him, so Binder, having got clear of his teammate Miller, does appear to have the pace to run at the front of this race. He's currently 1.5 seconds off the lead, but currently the fastest rider on circuit.
Zarco was briefly up into 5th place as well, wasn't he? Well, he is in 5th right now. Although he's had a good exchange with Miller, he's just lost that 5th spot in the 1st sector. You just wonder, this lost time might be putting paid to Zarco's podium hopes here. A long, long way to go, and he is so adept, isn't he, at time management in the second half of races. But at the moment, you can see Brad Binder starting to streak away. He's got to find a way through quickly. Well, he did a hard move on Binder on the KTM in turn number 11. He's now dishing out some more pain to KTM through that turn number 11. It's cleaner this time around. No contact between him and Miller. Zarco on the Australian, who's struggling for pace at the early part of this Grand Prix.
Miller's got no answer, particularly there through turns 10 and 11. This is turning into a similar story from Mugello, isn't it? Where Miller was pretty competitive early on, but fell backwards. Bezzecchi now finally starting to come into play in this Grand Prix. He's through on the fast-starting Aleix Spargaro, so Bezzecchi now back up into 7th place, but he is 3 seconds off the race leader, despite his personal best lap last time around.
That was Bastianini up the inside of Fabio Quartararo going into first corner. He looked like he's a little bit wide. He was just using a bit of poke there on that Ducati body down the short 700-metre start-finish straight. Quartararo trying to top it out with the beast there into the Omega corner we go. You can just hear Quartararo just revving the throttle just through this very, very tight and twisted first sector. A trademark characteristic of this Sachsenring layout. That is a battle at the moment that's raging for 10th place. Not where we thought Quartararo, the beast, will be battling the Sachsenring pre-season.
So far halfway around this 7th lap, Martin is continuing to manage that lead at around 7 tenths per second, although Bagnaia, after that initial explosion of pace from Martin, has been able to stabilise it somewhat. He's able to match Martin now. Bagnaia set his personal best lap last time around, a 1:21.3. It was near enough the same lap time for Jorge Martin. As we ride on board now with Bezzecchi adding more pain for Jack Miller.
Yeah, Miller's getting a mauling here, isn't he, unfortunately? Although he goes back through, that was a hard move. Making that sweep on the inside of the Australian to turn 12. He just got for slightly wide, didn't he, there, Bezzecchi? Trying to break as late as he possibly could. It just pushed him slightly off the optimum racing line. And Miller said, thank you very much. He's back on through. Johann Zarco then, having finally got through on Miller. He's got the hammer down. The two fastest men on the circuit right now are the Prima Pama Ducati College. Martin initially set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:21.302, but just 2.5 seconds later, that was immediately bettered by Zarco. On your screens there, you can see a 1:21.265. That's only a fraction away outside of the best race that we've ever seen here in Sachsenring.
You could soon see a scenario where the group behind Martin could all close up together. Bagnaia, Marini, Binder and Zarco. The latter two of those, Binder and Zarco, are quicker than the pair up ahead of them. Those are the gaps on the left-hand side of your screen. We watch them now from the aerial shot. Here is Martin then, who halfway around this lap is still 3/4 of a second up the road from Bagnaia. Of course, there was a role reversal in Magello last time around where Bagnaia just kept that lead at around half a second for around the first half of the fourth win. And the longer it wore on, Martin just couldn't match the pace of Pecco Bagnaia. Is it going to be a role reversal here at the Sachsenring?
Going to keep a very close eye on the progress of Zarco now. Then on that 7th lap, he was nearly 2.5 seconds behind Jorge Martin. With a really fascinating to track his lap times now with a bit of clear out in front of him to start to really reel in Brad Binder.
He's already pulled 3/10 out of Binder on this lap of Zarco. He really is coming into this Grand Prix. Bagnaia, Prima set the fastest lap of the race. Vinales is out. Zarco sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, but boy, is that an image that sums up Maverick Vinales this weekend.
Well, he was out at podium contention here 1 year ago with a failed rear ride height device, wasn't he? And there's more technical gremlins and more woes as smoke pours out of Maverick Vinales' factory at Aprilia. That's his hopes of any points in this Grand Prix over, ruined, wrecked by another tech issue then for that Aprilia RSGP. As he mentioned, last year it was a rear ride height device, and Vinales has a good long look over his right shoulder and sees that puff of smoke coming out of the side of the Aprilia. I'm sure Simon's going to have a quick close look at that one down in pit lane as Vinales just cruises rather disconsolately back into the pit lane on the Aprilia garage. There he is. Second time we've seen that in 2 German Grand Prix then from Maverick Vinales.
Didn't see any fluids coming out of it as he was crawling into the pit lane there, so hopefully we've got away with that one. Here's Brad Binder though, who I said was really closing in on the leading trio. It may be Marini actually who's fading a little bit here because Bagnaia is stretched clear of Luca Marini and Binder is now firmly on the rear wheel of Luca Marini's Mooney BR160 Ducati. This is now a battle for the final podium position.
Yeah, coming right into that battle is Zarco there. The number 5 in P5 over the line. Jorge Martin continues his relentless charge at the front of this race. He's just done another personal best lap at 1:21.300. And again, his next closest, or his chief rival in terms of pace, is Johann Zarco, who himself did a 1:21.32. So Zarco very, very quickly. And we're trying to find out a way through. A repeat of yesterday, isn't it, really? Martin versus Bagnaia at the front. Bezzecchi launches it late on the inside of Miller into the first corner. Then we've got that battle between Marini, Binder and Zarco unfolding again, just as it was in yesterday's sprint, albeit for 4th yesterday.
I was just about to say, actually, there's a real queue building up behind Jack Miller, so that's an important move from Marco Bezzecchi to try and get clear of all of that. As Johann Zarco looked like he was ever so slightly wide there in the background. Zarco's lost a bit of time on this lap. He's lost a 1/4 second to the pair off ahead of him. But Binder feels as if he's got podium pace here. If he can get through Marini quickly, he might well be able to latch on to the leading pair. We ride on board with Binder down the hill through the Ralph Bourne curve, and look how close it's in on Marini. Binder up to the inside. He's not allowing Marini to turn in. Binder able to get to the apex first, and the South African is up into the podium positions.
So Binder, you can just see that rear ride height device squatting on the KTM, and he tries to pick up the drive grip. He'll do the same now coming out this final corner. There's your live championship. It's getting better into that title race picture for Jorge Martin. He could be with him striking distance, just 16 points behind Pecco Bagnaia as we head for another showdown of the 37 points available next weekend in Assen. So now then, Binder. The gap between him and Bagnaia, second to third, was 1.6 seconds. Now the field has gone through the very loud pit lane. Let's go and get some thoughts. So Simon, you spotted what happened to Maverick Vinales. Brilliant, what did you see?
Well, we all saw smoke coming from the exhaust out the side, which comes from so it's obviously something internal gone wrong. No danger for the riders.
Thanks for that, Simon. So, yeah, that's the best possible. There's no fluid leaking out of Maverick Bagnaia, who's stricken RSGP. Scant consolation for him, though, as he goes to Assen, where we know he's very, very strong. Maverick Bagnaia is looking to try and steer his season back on course, back at the front. And Pecco Bagnaia is just starting to close Martin down a little bit. He's found nearly 0.2 of a second in the first 3 splits on this lap number 11.
Well, we know Jorge Martin can withstand pressure. He's only got a GP win so far. He was under constant pressure from Joan Mir, wasn't he? Back in Austria in 2021, of course, he did give away a likely victory in Malaysia last year from a more comfortable lead than this. But this is a different kind of challenge that Jorge Martin is going to be faced with here. Of course, he's so good at leading races from the front, setting a pace that no one can match him with. But what can you do in a bitter battle? Is Bagnaia going to try and force Jorge Martin to fight for this and make sure that Martin doesn't pull away at the front?
Marini's got it all on here, not just to hang on to that 4th place, fight for the podium, because Zarco behind him on the previous lap was 0.3 of a second faster. Zarco's charge continues. We're on board now with Marini through this high-speed turn 7. This is where Marc Marquez had that sickening high side this morning. High-speed barrel roll through the gravel trap. That's why the former King of the Sachsenring, the undisputed King of the Sachsenring, sideline from this Grand Prix. He withdrew pre-race. There is Big Day now. One pass through Marini. Here comes Zarco and his beloved turn number 11. How many overtakes in his Grand Prix career has Johan Zarco made there? He was through on Bindi yesterday in the sprint. He made a hard move, a fair move on Miller early on, and this time his latest fix in through the Walnut curve is at Luca Marini. I don't think there's any corner on the ground. That certainly looked like he was a little bit dazed and confused. He got to his feet in the gravel trap.
The riders on the soft rear tyre are really suffering. We've already covered Quartararo's problems. He's back in 14th, but away Spargo. He's in the high 22s now. He lost the place to Gian Antonio on the next lap. He's now going to come under pressure from Miguel Oliveira as well. So those who went for the soft rear tyre are starting to pay the price.
Through the final corner we go. Lap 26 of 30, about to be in the books. And it's Jorge Martin that leads it by just under 0.2 of a second. Nothing between them in terms of lap times on that lap 26. A 1:21.7 from Martin, a 1:21.6, slightly faster was the world champion on that previous circuit. Zarco just keeping Bezzecchi at bay, but in that battle for the final place on the podium. In fact, Zarco did retaliate on that lap 26. He stayed in those high 1:21s while Bez behind him dipped back into the 22s. Bezzecchi 1.6 seconds away from Zarco now in 3rd.
The other battle to look out for there on track, besides the battle that we're all glued to for the lead, is between Miller and Marini. They're battling for 5th, but almost he goes to reach out and touch the rear tyre there for Jorge Martin Bagnaia. We've seen the main moves come down the hill from 11 and into the right-hander of 12. Bagnaia looks like he's close enough to launch another counter-attack on Martin.
3.5 to go then here on the Sachsenring. We can almost reach out and touch Jorge Martin's exhaust pipes. Coming on Ducati, here he goes then. He's got the corner speed, he gets blocked off. Coming through on the curbs, Bagnaia and Martin. Martin chops Bagnaia's nose off down the bottom of the hill into turn number 12. Bagnaia then, he'll have 3 laps to go here. 39 corners to try and work her way through on Martin. But with 3 laps to go here in the Sachsenring, it is Martin that still has the advantage over the line.
Martin's position is quite well there. He didn't give Bagnaia a sniff at the inside line as they dropped down the hill. He hooked the left-hand side of the circuit, left Bagnaia with the option of either running into the back of Martin or backing out of it. Bagnaia chose the wise option.
Yeah, I think Bezzecchi's running out of steam in that fight for the podium. At 1:22.4 for him on that last lap means he's slipped now very, very quickly, 2 seconds behind Zarco. So Zarco should be locked in and safe for a 3rd place. And on the podium going the way of the Frenchman, Bagnaia, again, he has found a way to make that Ducati GP23 turn better in this 2nd sector, hasn't he? He's so close to the rear tyre Martin, particularly as they drop down through this high-speed turn number 7. Surely he's going to try and line up that move through that fast 5th gear swing through turn number 11, although Martin's got great drive coming through turn number 8, and that might break Bagnaia. He's got to be close to busy to make that switch through 11 now.
Zarco will have more than an interest in what's going on up here between Martin and Bagnaia. If anything goes wrong between these two, Zarco's in the position to take advantage, but Martin's had a very good 28th lap here. He's been able to pull out a quarter of a second, which doesn't sound like much, but with so little time remaining, we're about to start the penultimate lap. That is a big enough advantage as Bagnaia closes in on the brakes into 13.
This is what you want to see in the MotoGP World Championship, isn't it? A potential last lap showdown between two of the fastest riders in the world, the top two men in the World Championship coming into this German Grand Prix. Look how defensive and tight Jorge Martin goes on the inside. It's the cat, he snakes left, he snakes right, but somehow he does cut it to a late apex into the first corner.
Oh, I was worried for Martin there. He's defending fresh air down the start finish straight as Bagnaia again nearly runs into the back of Martin. Martin is riding around the Sachsenring circuit thinking about Bagnaia rather than thinking what's ahead of it.
Well, he's like a rolling roadblock right now, isn't he? Pecco Bagnaia inches away, millimetres away from Martin's rear tyre as well. They sweep, power the Ducatis down through turn number 7. A lap and a half to go here in what has been a nail-biting and enthralling and gripping German Grand Prix. What is going to unravel in the next sort of 2.5 minutes or so as we track Jorge Martin, your race leader, through turn number 10 he goes. They'll flick it now hard right, 5th gear, and again Martin so good. He gets great drive on the hill coming out of 8, but Bagnaia can't get close enough to swoop on his inside through 11.
It looks like through the slower twisty stuff at the start of the lap, Bagnaia is quicker than Martin through the faster corners. The left-handed, the leader is down to the waterfall. Martin is quicker. Bagnaia getting into a good position now to line up Martin. He's going to have a good run onto the straight.
They touch coming through the final corner. Front tyre on rear tyre for Bagnaia and Martin, and that could be key. That could be the decisive moment. Pecco Bagnaia, contact there with Martin going into turn number 13. Now then, he has been able to regroup. He's fortunate there, maybe not to have that front end wipe out from underneath him. He stays on board the factory Ducati. Has he got anything left there now as they drop through turn number 3 for the final time? Martin on the brink of a brilliant second career victory in MotoGP, but the world champion throwing it all on the line here as he seeks revenge here in the Sachsenring.
He needs a big final lap here. He needs the last lap of a champion. Does Pecco Bagnaia? He's got 0.3 of a second to try and close down after the first sector. As we now come through the second, Martin has lost a tenth to Bagnaia. This is far from over yet.
How much risk will Bagnaia go for those extra 5 points in the World Championship? He knows now if he launches it, if he throws it at the scenery, Jorge Martin will actually seize the World Championship lead. We're coming out now to the final 2 corners. Jorge Martin has what, half a dozen bike lengths on Pecco Bagnaia. He tries to close it on the brakes. Has he going to make a move in the final corner? Martin on the inside line, coming up to down this final corner, turn number 13. He goes defensive, and surely Jorge Martin has got this one covered. Although here comes Pecco Bagnaia trying to pick up some drive. They come on line side by side. Oh, inches in it.